board members are coming, just like me.
What's the angle? Are we good?
There we go.
We good?
Let's see.
Alright, it popped up, we're community. Okay, watch now.
Alright, we should be.
There we go.
So I need one person to, at least one person to try and keep an eye on what it looks like on the YouTube.
I pulled it up, yeah, I'm good.
Alright, thank you.
Good?
It's just a thumb.
So
That's
is
the
it
wall.
the right way around?
Yeah. The words are correct.
Okay, just give me a sec, guys. Just give me a second.
It's really close on Suki's head.
I know.
Yeah, she's trying to
I'm trying to.
adjust the
Yeah,
angle.
yeah.
Do I need to move towards the center maybe?
No, she's gonna.
No.
She's working on it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what would be
But it is
the
correct,
stop
it's not,
cancel.
it's not
Hold on.
backwards.
Yeah, I had to flip the angle. Just give me a sec.
I need to turn the volume off. I'm hearing myself on echo.
Does it make sense to put it on a tripod maybe?
The tripod is for the smaller iPad, actually. Yeah. Okay, so I think this is it. Isaiah, tell me now. And we should be good to go.
No. We see more of the,
Let's see,
okay,
and
now,
we see it back to late.
It's on Suki, right? And the board.
now it is.
Yeah, it's good. There's a slight
This is
delay
good.
with the video. We're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It would be good if it were closer to the.
Good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay,
Now we're gonna try something else. Can you guys read this text?
no, we can't even.
Look, no.
No, there's no way I'm gonna be able to read all that. We can't even see it here.
Can Mia? Oh, the second iPad is being used for them, right?
Yeah.
For the other committee.
Mm-hmm.
Is there? So somebody told me before that there was
First,
a way.
put it in presentation mode, so it's a little bigger on the screen.
Yeah, share it on the screen.
Does that even help?
That's a little better.
I turned it down. No, it's too.
We're not gonna be able to read that on
No.
Unless
No,
you
I
share,
think
unless
this
you
will be
share it.
Yeah, you need to
somehow.
share it. This is
Yeah.
maybe a future
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
We've been
Yeah, I
trying to
think
sort
we're
out
gonna
IT
need,
for
we're gonna
15
need
minutes.
to do it. We're gonna need to do it as a Zoom probably
Because you can share the
presentation.
screen.
So maybe you could just talk through it for now, if you can.
You can't.
Yeah, I mean, this
you
is not
can't
really
kinda
that
see it
important.
if you
The idea
focus
is actually,
on
the
it.
idea is really to make sure that this works for future,
Understood.
yeah, I mean, this is nothing serious.
Okay.
Okay, so is it possible that we can use like our iPhones? Somebody told me that before to, capture like as a camera. Does anybody know about this?
What are you trying to do?
We are live.
To use our iPhones?
We can't do that right now, so let's just.
Well, let's
talk.
turn it off then.
The iPhone to
The
do that or
camera.
not?
Oh, we
or not?
need
Oh,
to
she's
turn off the
saying
camera.
something.
Well, we have to get
Stream.
Zoom on that. Do we have Zoom on that laptop?
We do,
So you
but
can-
Mia has to host the Zoom.
So you'd have to have Mia log into Zoom on that laptop, and then you can broadcast that laptop, and then we could put the camera somewhere.
Is there any way that we can, like, cause Sol was claiming once that we could use our iPhones, we could set up the iPhones.
I'm not very sure about that, and I'm not sure if we have time to troubleshoot that right
We
now.
don't need that for tonight.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the other option would be to start this as a Zoom session whenever we wanna use the presentation.
Yeah. You
Zoom
could.
on YouTube.
Yeah, you have to basically simulcast it
Yeah.
on YouTube.
That's something
Yeah.
to consider.
You know how to do that?
Okay, I mean, we don't have to do that right this
Yeah,
minute,
but that's
but,
something to consider for the next meeting.
yeah.
Okay.
But can we actually like try it later in the evening for a little while?
Tonight, I'm not sure about that.
Why? Because we have to have Zooms.
Because I'd rather you guys get through.
Let's
You have to
focus on
take
getting-
it off
no,
of
yeah.
live.
Yeah, we would have to take it off the
Yeah.
live and interrupt the
There's
live.
there's not a lot going on tonight, that's why I wanna get this.
Well, we could,
But we can do that at the end. How about that? At the end.
We could do that at any time. I
Yeah.
can log on with Mia and we can troubleshoot the Zoom.
Yeah,
We
okay.
could do that
See,
offline.
Joshua, you're not
Okay,
late,
when
because
you guys
we're
are done, let me
discussing IT for 15 minutes.
Oh, good, perfect. I knew that
So
was
now
gonna
that
happen.
you're here,
Sorry.
let me
No,
bring
sorry.
you.
I wasn't allowed
No.
to sit at those chairs, so you guys gotta come and sit at this table. I wasn't allowed to sit over there.
Yeah, I just got through saying to everybody, like, don't sit at the table, you can't see what's on the committee, that's
right.
frustrating.
Okay, I'll just.
You have to sit.
Come sit next to me.
I'm next to you.
Oh, okay, hi everyone.
Hello. Guess I'll have to
I'm
stick
so
with
glad
that.
you're here.
Or you could have sat right where you were.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not using the screen.
Oh,
And he's not even in the way. If he's, yeah. He'll be actually in view and
Yeah,
not in
if
the
we, if we need to use the screen, you can use it, it's fine, I just want everybody to see who's on.
Alright, it's all of us just shuffling.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the January 2026 meeting of the Community Board 9 ULURP and Land Use Committee. Happy New Year. It looks like we have an almost full house tonight. So let's get started. We will just, first of all, just let me welcome the guests. We have Adam Kushner, our intern from the New York Community Foundation.
From the city of New York.
Yeah, who's been working on a data project for us. Isaiah Pacuz, another board member. You guys just want to briefly introduce yourselves?
Oh, sure, well, Isaiah Peku, I'm a board member.
Rod Herbert, I too am a board member.
Felice Robinson, I'm a board member, second vice chair.
Okay, welcome, and do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Dean Fader.
Okay, nice to meet you. So, we'll get started. Let's go to approval of the December minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read them? Okay, is everybody ready? Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Is everybody ready to vote?
Vote on what?
Approving the minutes?
Can we vote by anonymous consent?
We can vote by common consent.
Common consent, sorry.
Okay, so can we approve the minutes by common
Yep.
consent?
Yep.
Is there anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, minutes approved. Yay, I think that's the first time we did it without any discussion. Okay, Old business and committee updates. So 7399 Empire was our last big rezoning. Subsequently, we know that the developer flipped the site to another developer for about a $25 million profit. And then, two residents of our community who live in the area, Alicia Boyd and LaShawn Ellis, filed a lawsuit, alleging that the environmental impact statement was not done and it should have been done because of some because the site was previously industrial and had some contaminants, among other things. So they got a temporary restraining order that was up in November. I don't know whether that's been lifted, maybe if anyone knows you can tell me. And the latest that I saw from the record was there's been a motion for, there was an answer from the two developers and there's been a motion for discovery. Does anyone else have any updates they wanna share?
TRO is still on effect.
Okay,
And there's a court hearing next week, the 21st of January at 9:30. Courtroom 461, I'll try and get printed some of these flyers. That's 360 Adams Street. And
Repeat that real quick, repeat the time.
9:30, I'm
okay.
gonna get a flyer.
Perfect.
360
Yeah,
Adams.
Alicia's busy working on the response papers, so she can make.
Yeah.
So say 360 Adams, room 461,
9:30 a.m.
9:30 a.m.
And as
Here.
Suki mentioned, it's really about the fact that a proper environmental impact statement was not completed as part of this rezoning. And it had been known that it was a brownfield site and it should have gone through proper cleanup before they started development. And that still has not been completed yet, and the environmental impact statement was never completed. So this is part of, we don't know what hazards and what risks have been, that the community has been exposed to since those buildings have already been torn down. And, they're waiting to get work started. Once again, it's about respect for the community, and if development is coming into our areas, the least we can do, we know that this developer flipped the site shortly after it was rezoned. And we're tired of being used. And so we want, if you're gonna come, you're gonna rezone, that's fine, but at least respect us and do it properly.
Exactly.
Follow the rules.
Exactly.
And there is a school there that is affected, and Ebbets Field is there where thousands of people live. So, and we're right up the street on Sullivan, so that's a lot of people being harmed by this environmental
Right, so the
lack of care.
two people, one lives on the Sullivan side of Empire, the other's on the Sterling and the other side. So, and we have direct impact as well as Ebbets Field and others. So that's what the lawsuit is about. So please come out and support, because,
And there's an outdoor playground there as well.
and there's a playground, but the community, again, we're sending a message that we're not against development. We're against not following the rules and doing it properly and putting our neighborhood at risk.
And the long-term
Um,
effects of that.
is there anything else on the lawsuit? Do you know when the next date after the 21st will be?
It depends on what's happened after, at the 21st, they will decide the next steps.
Okay, so the other update I have to share was passed to me by Dante. Apparently the new developers, for 7399 Empire have filed, with HPD for, the MIH, they filed their MIH application. And it looks like the building is potentially different than what we, heard about before, although I assume it's being built in accordance with the new MIH rezoning, the C44D rezoning. It's now 264,697 square feet of residential floor area and 9,080 square feet of commercial space. That seems like a different mix to me than what it was before. I don't have the previous numbers.
So 9,080 of commercial?
And 264,697 square feet of residential. My recollection was that it was previously 100,000 square feet of commercial. It was a very big commercial component.
Yeah.
So that mix has changed. There are now 396 units, which again, I think is a big increase in the number of units. I think it was
Wow.
previously closer to 300. Is that what you guys remember as well?
I'm pulling up the original thing.
Yeah. And they have a breakdown. It's going to be in four, looks like it's four separate buildings, buildings A, B, C, and D. So potentially the design is different than what it was before, but I don't have access to the building plans. They were password protected. I don't know why Dante sent that to me that way, but
I'm sorry, Suki, what was the square footage for resi and commercial?
9,080 square feet commercial and 264,697 square feet of residential.
Yeah, so it was originally, was it like 98,000 of commercial,
Yeah,
so that's 90% drop?
yeah.
Okay.
Although,
And then it's 240,000.
although we really have to look at the building plans because originally.
Yes, more resi and less commercial.
Yeah, we have to look at the building plans because originally a good part of the commercial was in the basement and that's sometimes not counted as part of the like buildable floor area. So they could be talking about the same thing or they might not, but this is what I have now. So it's 396 units, that's a lot more than before, right? I think before it was, like I said, it was
It's 285.
yeah, it was, so it is a lot more units, which is obviously potentially going to affect the environmental impact statement. That may have to be redone anyway. And, okay,
Where can we see this
of which
online?
80 will be affordable. I will send it to you guys after this, I just got it. Now,
Of
the
which, how many?
unit
You
mix.
said how many, so you said how many affordable?
80 will be affordable at 40% of AMI.
80 of 300.
That's, so that's 20%. Which is what the MIH option 3 requires.
So it's option three.
So the other thing that you guys might find interesting is the unit mix. I think it's a total, it differs by building, but it's a total of about 20% studios, 28% one bedrooms, and the rest, which is slightly more than half, are 2 bedrooms, and there are no 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms. I know that's something that people have discussed in the past. And there is a rendering, looks kind of like this, it just looks very square and kind of like Star Wars-y.
So 60% is 2 bedroom.
Yes. No, just over 50% is 2 bedroom, and the rest are 20%
Are they
studios.
20% studio, 20% one bedroom?
28% one bedroom.
Oh, I see.
And the rest are 2 bedrooms.
So that's 58.
And the way they're divided is kind of interesting. There's one building that's mostly studios, and then there's another building that's mostly 2 bedrooms. So that's all I have for now. Oh, and in terms of who the new developers are, in case anybody's interested, I did see they did also send an org chart. It's Galaxy Developers LLC, which is 100% owned by Raphael Rabinowitz. And then 73 Empire Boulevard is the owner of Empire McKeever Heights LLC, which is the owner of 73 Empire LLC. And the owners of that, our majority owner is Yadler Rabinowitz with 94.5%, Simon Dushinsky with 0.5%, and Raphael Rabinowitz with 5%.
You're gonna be sending this and posting it?
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to
Send
you.
it, okay.
So that's all I have for you guys for now.
That's the new developer, right?
Yes. Okay, and anybody else on this one? Okay, so So Vital Brooklyn, Kingsborough Psych, and Kingsbrook Jewish. There's been some news on Kingsbrook Jewish, the northern half of the site, which we thought was going to be developed, but we didn't actually have plans. Cheryl, do you, where is she? Oh, Cheryl, do you have, an update on the Kingsbrook that you wanna share?
Well,
I did get an update from Jay, if you want.
the community has been sent a letter by Douglaston Development stating that they are giving us a notice of excavation. And they're starting to tear down some of the buildings in the area.
Oh, Cheryl, are you talking about
She's talking about Kingsborough.
Yes, Kingsborough.
Psych. That's fine, you can give the
Oh,
update
okay.
on Kingsborough.
Oh,
Let's
I don't
just-
have anything on Kingsborough.
Okay, so
No,
just
no,
tell us
I-
about Kingsborough Psych then,
Okay,
and I'll
sorry,
read
I was
what Jay
busy
says
watching us to
about-
see if we were cutting off.
I'll watch it.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, I don't have anything about Kingsbrook, only about I got it, thank you. So the community was sent a letter by Douglaston Development that they're gonna begin work on the area. That is slated for the non-vital Brooklyn program. But I've been in contact with Rita Joseph's office, and we've been asking, isn't the public entitled to have a city council public hearing? They are looking into it. They said they were in contact with Brian Cunningham. And he said he was willing to inquire if the community can have a community impact hearing with Letitia James. I don't know how true that is. I'm going to email and contact his office again to see if they can give us some outlook on if they are interested in giving us the community impact hearing. We're just at a standstill. They're going forward with this project right now, but we're trying to see that the public wasn't entitled to this council public hearing, and this is like part of the procedure, and it was not done, so we're trying to see if they're cutting corners where they're not supposed to.
And so you'll let us know when the community impact hearing is.
If,
If they have it, because once again, our community is being disrespected.
yes,
And I just believe that other parts of the city, if this kind of project was happening, even though it's state-owned land, we would have had some type of a community hearing about it.
most definitely, because you saw when ESG was here last May, and what they did not tell us is the workshops that they gave to their community, but the website showed it. They have nothing to show that they supported our community, advised our community, told our community. Even with the workshops that they did, their city council and their assemblymen worked with the community and definitely spoke out for them and were successful in getting a reduction of 850 units. So it's not that it can't be done. It's who's interested in supporting the community
Correct.
and who's interested in not supporting the community. We even heard ESD at that time say, Creedmoor is different. Okay? She said it with her own mouth. You could look at the May 2025 meetings for ULURP. She physically said Creedmoor is different. And we saw just how different Creedmoor was because they were slated for 2,850 units and they dropped 850 units because of the work of their city council and their state assembly, who listened to the community and worked for the community and supported and came through for their community.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Is it that there hasn't been a city council hearing, particularly on the development at this site, but maybe Empire State Development did any public engagement sessions, or is it that there's just been none? And
Sounds like none.
Empire State Development did hold the general project plan hearings. Those are required for any state developments of a certain size that have a secret requirement, an environmental review
I
requirement
saw those
attached.
old minutes,
Um,
but no one from the community was there. No one that lived within the
So-
vicinity was there.
The notifications that
notified?
went out for
I
that
don't know if
meeting
they had
were
one or
way
not.
different than the notifications that went out
Yeah.
for this one.
So the GPP hearings, there was attendance from the community, the surrounding community. There were, I think some people from this board testified, and I definitely remember, I think actually you testified, there were a number of members of the Jewish community who testified, people from CV17 testified. I think the issue, as you said, is they're not, right, why are they treating us differently than Creedmoor? Right, given the community testimony, which was, largely expressing the kind of concerns that you're expressing, why are they still treating us differently than Creedmoor? I just wanna note that the reason she's bringing up the city council hearing is because there's a clause in the deed for Kingsborough site that goes all the way back to like 1920 or whatever, that says if that land is ever not used for hospital purposes, it reverts from the state ownership to the city. So before it can go back to Empire State Development for them to transfer to a developer, it needs to go to the city, and the city can waive that deed reverter, but they cannot waive the deed reverter without a public hearing first, right? And from our point of view, if it were to go back to the city, it actually does go through ULURP. The zoning of that site is R5. That would not support those that number of buildings, at 10 and 11 stories. That doesn't mean they couldn't rezone it, but it would need to go through ULURP, and then obviously it would come through our committee, which gives our community a little bit more of a voice in how this happens and how it's designed. Not that it's not going to happen, but how is it going to happen and what is it going to look like? And, to what extent can the community participate, I think is really the issue.
And the type of housing, the mix of housing that.
Exactly.
That's
What was
it.
it, R5?
Because
Yes.
one of the suggestions that I suggested was, we need housing for the nurses and the doctors, the resident doctors that come. This is a teaching hospital. So instead of putting a MICA shelter, because you already have a men's shelter, you have a senior shelter, how can you put seniors with MICA and men's? We need a home and apartment building for the doctors and the nurses that come. There's residents, they come all the time. Look, I have a cousin who is a nurse at Kings County. She works 12-hour
Yeah,
shifts.
that's very common, yeah.
She works 12-hour shifts. And then when she has to be held, she goes home to 3 o'clock in the morning, and she can't find a place in Brooklyn because she lives in Harlem. So she's going home 3 o'clock in the morning in Harlem, have to come back to work the next day. I'm trying to get her here, but she's exhausted. So we need housing for the nurses and the orderlies and the people that work. And the SUNY Downstate is a teaching hospital. There's residents that come. I myself had a resident doctor staying at my place because they needed a place to stay. So we have a need for it. It can be filled. Let's utilize it. Let's build a place for them to use. They can just walk to work instead of getting off at 2, 3 in the morning going home.
Yeah, other hospitals do have that.
Years ago, that's how it was in the community. Many of the apartment buildings and also the basement apartments years ago used to be
Yes.
rented out to
People that.
the students of downstate, the learning hospital, some of the hospitals, Kings County Hospital, even Kingsbrook, right? They used to live and used to rent apartments there. Now that's just like gone away.
And as we learned, from some of the people who came to our community board, the resident physicians, they don't actually make that much money. They would
Correct.
qualify for
Right.
affordable
They do not.
housing.
Right.
So,
It may be worth, bringing that point to, Ferris of Front Forest attention.
So who?
Ferris of Front Forest Assembly member, even though it's a different, district, she gets heavily involved in anything that has to do with nurses or healthcare. She's a former nurse, so, she's been on the picket line, this week for Nice Enough, so I think that she would actually be interested in that, and maybe like putting together some sort of a proposal, that could, and maybe talking to her colleagues about it, so I can look into that or put you in touch if you wanna do that.
I know Justin.
Okay, oh, perfect, then, yeah,
Oh, yeah, Justin always comes.
Justin's
Yeah,
great.
he always comes
so
in.
now one
Yeah, I would tell
interesting
Justin
thing,
specifically that.
Okay.
yeah, one interesting thing was that 1199, the Healthcare Workers Union was promised an office on that campus. But that obviously begs
Correct.
the question, what about housing for their workers?
Yes, exactly.
They were promised an office?
One more clarifying question that I'm actually gonna steal from the gentleman
Right.
in the audience, but he stepped away. There was a letter
Isaiah?
that the
Yeah,
board
Isaiah.
sent
Yes.
to Tish James's
Yes.
office, and she responded. Can you remind us what that response was?
So
The response was that she does not get involved in these type of, I can pull it up, she does not get in, I'm on this, okay.
Is it an email? Can I dig it? Okay, I'll dig for it.
I think what basically so the letter was asking for her to weigh in on the need, on the deed referrer issue. And her office's response was that she is not counsel to us, she is counsel for the
To the
state.
state,
So
right.
she's essentially on the opposing side with respect to that issue. That being said, the other thing that is that she needs to sign off on, any of these transfers of state-owned land or these on this particular project, I know the RFP said that she needs to sign off on it. So that's part of, I think, why the ask to hold a community impact hearing, because she still needs to sign off on it.
And she hasn't.
No, they don't. But they have the funding.
I'm sorry, where in the approval process is this project?
That's what I'm
So it
that-
has been approved by the Public Authorities Control Board.
Okay,
The GPP, they approved
just started
the
building.
GPP.
yeah,
Excavation, not building.
sorry, thank you.
So it's approved.
It's approved at this point, right?
Yes.
So it just goes now, right? Just for my edification. It's like, there's no more public.
But they
But
did
Tish
not
James has
follow
not
the,
signed off on it.
no, not.
No, so I understand that there's a
And there's still a deed reverter issue, right?
that we're raising, but
Yes.
potentially everyone involved in the project does not recognize
Just- yeah.
or is on the opposing side of.
No.
They seem to not think that the deed reverter is an issue, right? Is their position?
No, actually, the RFP specifically stated that the deed reverter would have to be waived by the city.
Okay,
The issue is, what are the requirements for the city to waive
I
the
see.
deed reverter?
When did the approval happen?
Well, they,
Last year.
right, May,
I feel like they've been building for a while
June,
already.
they haven't built yet.
No, they just
No.
started.
No, they
They haven't
haven't,
built.
they're gonna do the demo, right, you got a demo order,
Yes, they're doing excavation.
but it hasn't started.
Excavation has started. We got the letter and they said within 10 days, but before we even got the letter, they started.
Well, they started fencing.
Right, they put up the green fence, but the excavator's there and they already started bringing down the building that was there, the historic building that was there. Before we got the letter.
Are they doing proper
Seeing the letter.
asbestos? Are they doing proper asbestos?
I have no idea yet.
Removal? If they're knocking it down, you better call,
I'm gonna find out.
cause they did that to us and it was not. Very proper.
Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about Kingsbrook Jewish now. There's two parts to that site. The southern site is also slated for a Vital Brooklyn development. I think it's about 260 units of senior housing. That, I don't know if that has started yet, Cheryl. I know that they pulled permits, but it seemed to be taking a long time to get fully approved. Do you know if the southern half of Kingsbrook Jewish has begun?
You mean the part where the shul was? Because they
Not the
haven't,
part where
they
the
haven't
shul was,
begun
that's the
any
northern part.
excavation
That's the
yet.
northern part, the southern half, which was
No.
Vital Brooklyn.
Vital
also
Brooklyn,
is a-
the Vital Brooklyn Utica Crescent building is already up, you know that,
Right,
right?
yeah.
All three are
Yeah.
up. But I don't know about them starting up another project, or, no.
So the northern half is not part of Vital Brooklyn, but it's also part of the Kingsbrook Jewish campus. And I think they've closed those buildings and they closed off access to a historic shul, which was located on that property, and so the members of the shul believe that that's gonna be sold for housing development as well. So we also, you guys may remember, we had a letter out to the Attorney General to ask her to let us know what was going on there. Because again, the reason for that is nonprofits, if they're like selling like a significant part of their property or winding up or whatever, they have to get permission from the Attorney General. We haven't heard anything from her yet. But apparently they are in contract to sell the property. There's been nothing on record in terms of sales yet. And then there was a piece of news that Governor Hochul said she was stepping in to stop the demolition of the shul and wanted all parties to work things out. But we don't exactly know what that means. So bottom line is, we don't quite know what's going on, but something's going to happen, and the members of the shul are obviously up in arms about this. Does anybody else have any updates? Rod, something you've heard about?
No.
Okay. So,
There's a meeting online on the JVC, right? About discussion about Kingsborough within that community. It's pretty good.
what meeting and when?
I don't know, Jay sent me a link, you saw it, right, Phil? That meeting, the JVC meeting,
Oh, he had a meeting at the Crown Heights Jewish Community Council.
yeah.
Okay, does anybody know anything about what's going on with that meeting?
I would,
Oh,
That-
okay, here we go. Here's the CO Live article. It says, "The property is now in the hands of Kingsbrook Estates, a homes and community renewal finance project that includes 402 affordable units with set-asides for 72 veterans and 70 frail elderly seniors. Members of the synagogue recently filed a lawsuit against One Brooklyn Health Systems, which operated Kingsbrook Hospital. They sought to impose a constructive and charitable trust to preserve the building for religious purposes and establish the congregation's ownership of the property. It was founded in the 1920s by New York's Jewish community to combat widespread anti-Semitism in healthcare. From its inception, the hospital incorporated Jewish values, including a kosher kitchen and regular prayer services. In 1950, the standalone synagogue was built to serve hospital staff, patients, and the local Jewish community. The lawsuit claims Kingsbrook deliberately kept the building closed long after the public health emergency caused by COVID. Congregation Chaim Albert is now turning to the courts, blah, 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 blah. Rabbi Yaakov Berman, a founder of the Jewish Future Alliance, called on Governor Kathy Hochul to intervene. Governor Hochul confirmed the news. She wrote, "Kingsbrook Synagogue has been around since the early 1900s and is a testament to the strength and resilience of the Jewish community. I'm proud to have led the effort to save the historic Kingsbrook Shul from its demolition and encourage leadership from the hospital and synagogue to find a path forward where both sites can prosper and serve the community." So there's more, but you guys can read this on your own. Anybody else have any other updates? Okay,
On that particular?
or on any updates, just generally,
and
but-
Kingsborough, anything.
in our district.
What about the
You
MTA?
got a quick Pinnacle update?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yes, yes, very interesting.
So it's there's something different happening every day, but as you know, there was not the entire portfolio, but 93 buildings in the Pinnacle portfolio that were going up for auction. The city intervened with so basically what's happening is that they found somebody to buy the buildings. The somebody that is buying the buildings is the brother of Joel Wiener, who owns Pinnacle. So
Yeah.
that's basically where we are. And so now there's this like mad dash to try to get the court to either extend the deadline for, essentially what they're trying to do is buy time for the city to be able to acquire some of these buildings. Maybe not all of them, but or transfer them to nonprofit owners. And some it's like number 6, I think that they're the people that are buying it. They're like number 6 on the worst landlords list, the terrible. The final hearing is on Thursday. It's an all-day hearing, so there'll be a ton of people going there. The Attorney General filed a motion as well for delay, based on the fact that just based on the numbers, there's no way that Summit actually has the money to do the repairs that would need to be done literally within 24 hours of the sale, because once the property transfers, all their Class C violations are now 24 hours that they have to be addressed. So anyway,
Really?
yeah, that's the way it works. So this is being done through the newly opened Mayor's Office to Protect Tenants, which is Cia Weaver's new thing. And yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of potential possible avenues to do this, but the timing is really the issue. I mean, the fact that it's like still the second week of January and that much has happened is crazy, but who knows what will happen between now and Thursday. But I had the feeling that because the reporting on the connection between the two principals of these two companies is so clear now, I think there might be potential for delay.
So the final hearing, this is the bankruptcy hearing?
This is the bankruptcy hearing. They identified what they call a stalking horse bidder, which is like they have like very good terms on the sale. They're doing away with $250 million in debt. So like that just disappears.
So who's getting wiped out, the Israeli
Oh.
bondholders?
And who's agreeing?
No, the Israeli bondholders were still with their money,
Okay.
and it's the exact same bondholders that own Summit and own Pinnacle.
Ah.
Who's $250 million is going away?
Well, that's just the debt that they had. Like, it's just that's what they're restructuring and essentially passing it from one brother to the other. I mean, technically, that's like they're all owned by LLCs. So like, but it's not. I mean, the sale is supposed to be arm's length, and that's definitely not arm's length. Like when you have somebody that's a family member, that's not considered arm's length. So, but the judge so far seems resistant to doing anything about it. So.
So this is
The judge.
Wow.
Because
Good
this is
question.
the way that it's been working.
Yeah.
So is the lender Flagstar? Are
The
they
lender's
being made
Flagstar.
whole?
That's the other. That's the other part.
Are they being made whole?
No, and that's so we're trying to figure out, like, the city's basically told Flagstar as well that if they allow this to happen, that the city is going to be they're gonna scrutinize their
Business?
their business, and they're gonna put up, essentially the city's saying, like, what's gonna happen is they're not gonna make the repairs that need to be made. These buildings are gonna go under, and when that happens, then we're gonna hold you responsible for it. So it's a lot of how would I put it, bravado that's coming from the city, and because there's not really much legally that they can do, except that they're a creditor. I mean, Pinnacle owes them millions of dollars in fines and
The city.
yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about this later, but, thank you for the update.
Yeah, go.
Okay,
Should we go to this hearing?
It's an all-day hearing, so we're telling people to show up, wear red, and it's I'll give you the address here.
you guys are already wearing red.
I know it's let's see. Hearing is at 10 a.m. on Thursday at 1 Bowling Green, Manhattan Courtroom, room 701.
Josh, can you scoot over so they can see the table?
Yes.
One Bowling Green.
Yep. 1 Bowling Green, courtroom 701.
Where's that?
We'll have a bunch of people there right at 10 from the Pinnacle Tenant Union, but
10 a.m. to all day.
if you wanna stop by for an hour or whatever and just like support, they'll be there probably I don't know what they mean by all day, but I'm guessing that means until at least 5.
Yes.
So,
People are giving testimony?
no, it's like, this is very much like packing the court for the sake of the judge feeling pressure from
I see,
from the
okay,
community.
that's very interesting.
Okay, so I have another update for you guys on the 350 Troy Avenue variance hearing. They went before the BSA this morning. The commissioners had some questions for them. It was an initial hearing, so the case is not, the commissioners haven't voted on it yet. As you remember, we were all supportive of the school's need to expand. I think the programmatic need is clear. But we were a little bit surprised, you know, at the last minute at the general board meeting, when there was a neighbor, a close neighbor, who's, concerned about the traffic and the, and, I mean, as we had discussed in our meetings, this is a big building and it is gonna have an impact on the people behind it. And one of the things is that many of the community members or basically all of the community members who came to testify in favor of the school, they were all parents and they also all lived on the Carroll Street side. So, although, rather than the President Street side, which is behind the building. So although I think it's clear that the school is a community school and has community support, it's just something for us to always be careful about. You know, with land use things, you know, oh yeah, we did the community engagement, we contacted the neighbors, but there was this one group of people who was very close to the site that apparently didn't come and we didn't talk to. And so while our community engagement can never be perfect, it's just something for us to be mindful of with any sort of land use and development issues. So the commissioners actually asked a lot of the same questions that we did. They said, you know, you're based on the numbers that you're putting down for enrollment, how do we know that this school is not gonna keep expanding and you'll have to come back to us another time for a variance? Because they already got one variance in the early 2000s and then this is the second time, right? And so the answer actually was kind of interesting and it does have bearing on sort of planning generally. And what he said was even though the preschool numbers were very high, that there was going to be a sharp drop off between the preschool and the kindergarten because the Chabad community has a lot of young families moving in, but then the Chabad tradition is that they go out they disperse globally whenever they can to join other Chabad communities around the world. And then the second issue is that boys and girls are together for preschool, but after preschool they're split up, so the boys go to a boys' school. And so he assured the commissioners that there was going to be a hard cap on the number of students that they would accept, which is the same thing that he told us, and that if for some reason there was a need for more expansion, that they would buy another building. So the commissioners just wanted him to put that in writing.
I remember we asked the same question.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we asked the same question. They also wanted a more detailed drop-off and pickup operational plan, construction operational plan, school safety plan for, during the construction. They wanted more details on the trash pickup, because there's a requirement for containerization. There is a refrigerated trash room, for the lunchroom. What else did they say? They wanted to make sure there was no amplified sound on the rooftop, which is being used as a play area. One of the things that they really look at, and this is just good for us to know, one of the things that they look at, the key measures they look at is the gross square feet per student compared with what is the average in the area. And for this one, it was clearly under the average for the area, even with the proposed expansion. They did note, as we said, that this is a pretty large expansion, with a 6 FAR. Although the height of the building has been kept, reasonable. They asked if the bulk of the building could be lowered by putting some of the programmatic needs in the cellar. And the school said that would be costly because of the need to add foundation supports and the construction would be disruptive to the current students. And then they just pointed out some inconsistencies in the statement of facts that they wanted to have corrected. And they're asking for 6 weeks to reply to the commissioner's questions. So I would expect that the next hearing date will be in February or March, in case anybody wants to comment. And that's all I have.
What about the MTA RFP?
Okay, so the MTA RFP, we wrote the last meeting that we had, we wrote a letter, to the Mamdani transition team, CC, EDC, and all of our local elected officials. We didn't get anything back from the Mamdani transition team. I don't know if any of you had personal contacts that you were able to talk to them about it.
I haven't heard yet, but I can follow up because we've been wrapped up in medical stuff, so.
Of course.
Yep.
We did hear back from EDC sort of indirectly. I had reached out to Rita Joseph's office to see if they could help us out in getting some more information about this project. And so they did not answer all of our questions or respond to our request for a delay. But they did confirm that the site is owned by New York City, which was in question because the public records actually show that it's owned by New York City Transit, who's the MTA, who is not New York City. And from our point of view, that makes a difference because the procedures that apply are for approval are different. Like with Vital Brooklyn, the state-owned properties don't necessarily have to go through ULURP, but the MTA does have their own process for disposal of land. But he confirmed that it was owned by New York City. They're also saying that they did not have anything to say about whether the construction of a foundation would be disruptive to subway service, because if you guys are familiar with that area, you know that the subway tracks run right through the middle of that site. And right now there's like parking and a one-story building, and there's a reason for that, because there's no foundation that goes down into the ground that could support a multi-story building. So they said they didn't know, but the MTA would have to sign off on any construction.
I'm sorry, Susie, was the letter that was sent out sent to the board members?
Yes, Dante sent it out to everyone. I think didn't he?
No.
Oh, he didn't, okay. So I'll CC you guys on the email that he sent out to everyone. We haven't had any responses from anyone else yet. As Max mentioned, there was some news that the administration is planning to look at all city-owned sites to see whether they have the potential for housing. So that's something to keep on your radar screen. This isn't the only government-owned site in this district. All districts actually have a lot of city-owned sites. Every school is a city-owned site, every police precinct, firehouse, et cetera, is a city-owned site. And
Police precincts. You pay attention to the one on Carroll across the street from me, which is in between the Franklin Avenue rezoning and the transit police, yeah.
And we think that these don't make sense, but I've seen lots of examples all over the city where these things get developed. So NYCHA sites are city-owned sites. What else? Oh, right, so I had emailed you guys with an example of one that just happened under the Adams administration, which was, what did I say, it was on Kent Avenue in Williamsburg. And that's interesting because on one level the parameters were similar, but what's being proposed is actually not what you would expect. It's a DEP-owned site. And it's the total area is about 30,000 square feet, but about 20,000 square feet of it is being used for a community garden, and underground there's DEP infrastructure. So it's quite similar to our site, where a good portion of the site actually is cannot be used for housing, and there's underground stuff. And so the RFP there was conducted by HPD, not by EDC. It was for supportive housing. And it's an R7 zoning, very similar to our site, but only 70 units are being built on a 30,000 square foot site. About 10,000 square feet of the site is usable, they're not building on the community garden. And so that suggests that, they're not using the air rights from the rest of the site. So I just thought I would put that out there, that it's not a given that every RFP of this nature operates in the same way.
I think this RFP called out neighborhood character, right, as one of the considerations for selecting a project that would be developed there on the
Which
site.
RFP?
The RFP for the Prospect
Okay.
Park site, yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I assumed that as well. You know, in reading that was definitely gonna be a factor, and it wasn't a given that because the lot would allow it, that's something that would, you know, be massively out of place would be approved to be developed there, so.
So that's all I have on that. Anybody else?
Can I bring up another subject?
Yes.
Just about the study you're working on, I think, talk about it with everybody and maybe I thought Esteban might have some ideas, like, just tell them what you're doing and then,
Sure. Yeah.
we can give you ideas for the data we might want for the study.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the request that came in from Dante, and part of my project is creating fair share report. Ideally, over the past 25 years from 2000, but whatever data is relevant. And so I've been pulling from multiple sites, census data, Data2Go, HPD, been working with Ahmed Zagani a lot on it too. But any sort of data about housing development, parking, shadowing, those kinds of things is what I'm looking for. And yeah, whatever relevant data, what relevant sources, I'm happy to take, give my contact info and talk it over. Good, yeah. I'm gonna try to have some sort of presentation to provide, to let everyone know about my updates.
And that'll probably be in March, right?
Yeah.
And I think we'll likely do that jointly with the housing committee. But at some point might be presenting to the full board. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And any data that you might think that he should look for. Like I was thinking, the newer developments, equity, what is vacant now, how is the population changing, like as much detail as possible, like what's been developed, what is coming, and I guess the data that you're using can only really go, like how are you getting data like after the census, right? For the recent developments is what's here already, we want to find out what's here, what we have, how to maintain that, and not have people, I guess one of my goals, I don't know about anybody else, but is not having people displaced and having the people here be able to find something affordable they can afford, to not have the displacement, so does that make sense?
If I could quickly interject, we do have an agenda for this meeting, and we have not gotten to the spring land use information, so maybe we could cover that.
Well, can you just finish this up, Max?
Sure, I just want to be respectful of everyone's time, given we have an agenda for the meeting, Teresa.
I can reach out to you and
Yeah.
see if there's anything.
Yeah, I'll get my contact.
Jay?
I have a question on that point. Hi, I don't mean to talk behind your back.
No, that's
literally. But the question, since you're doing this study, one of the things that I'm interested in, I think everybody in the community would be interested in, is if you can take a look at the amount of social service beds per census tract. It's been a very big issue with the Vital Brooklyn and everything else. Are they oversaturating certain neighborhoods, specifically maybe certain low-income neighborhoods of color, with social service beds? Because there's a big difference between, we have like, there's like 30 to 50% homeless and social service housing that's being built in Vital Brooklyn here. You take a look at Creedmoor, same type of New York State project, it's 10%. So the way to do it,
10% home ownership.
10% homeless slash social services. The home ownership there is 50%. We have not 9% here. But but what I was
I mean, that being said, there's also still a lawsuit going on with CVS, so. But I think it's useful to, it may be useful to know.
Who brought the lawsuit?
It's a coalition of community groups across the city.
The Republican
Do you know
Party.
when?
No, it's actually a pretty broad coalition of neighborhood groups.
And the Republican
Most of
Party
them
in
are
Staten
Mostly
Island.
Staten Island too, actually.
And Queens.
No, there's a
Some
couple,
good bigots
there's
in there,
Brooklyn groups,
Oh, my
there's
goodness.
Queens groups.
Bigots.
It's
No,
mostly our borough.
I know several of them and they're not.
They're
They've
not
been
as-
around, they've been fighting
Cause I sent it to.
zoning stuff for a while.
Yeah, they're not necessarily all Republicans.
No.
Check it.
What else? Okay, yeah, I think that's, so, okay, so yes, we wanna have city planning come in to do an info session on the, City of Yes zoning changes, and I think specifically,
And the changes to ULURP.
And
Basically
changes
what
to
they,
ULURP,
I mean,
yeah.
cause I was saying the presentation that was being done for housing, like how come we're the ones that deal with zoning and the ULURP process? Why aren't we getting that?
yeah, so maybe we need to ask for it. Okay.
They need to, housing needs to focus, I mean, they can understand zoning, but as I mentioned last night, zoning and building more housing isn't the only tool. They need to look at housing preservation, and you brought up the point last night about how are they making sure that the housing and the affordable units that have been approved are actually being utilized and maintained. And are they enforcing that? And they're saying they're not the ones to enforce, BDOB, like everyone's pointing fingers at everyone else.
Right.
So that's why what you're doing is going to be helpful if we can figure out how many affordable units do we really have? Are they being occupied? Are they still affordable? Are they still, we have no idea. We know what's going through a zoning change, but we don't know what's being occupied. And years later, like with the Armory, where do we really stand with the affordable units in there? I have no idea.
Already.
I think it's also really important for everyone to understand that our district is not like many districts in Brooklyn and other outer borough neighborhoods. We are not mostly a homeowner neighborhood. We are mostly a renter district, and most of those renters live in rent-stabilized buildings. This is a very different situation than, say, Bensonhurst or Park Slope or even Bed-Stuy. So like the issues that affect our district and the solutions are going to be different.
That's why it would be good to have all that data, right, from the study.
Yeah, I mean, we need to see what, what our residents need and what they have. Okay, so planning for the land use and zoning information town hall. So we talked about doing something public facing, and this is tricky because, well, like zoning, nobody knows what zoning is, it's kind of technical and boring. How do we make this interesting and engaging? And yet, it's everybody wants to get in on this when something happens next to them or when something is happening to them. It suddenly becomes extremely important and extremely contentious. How do we engage people in a more proactive way to talk about zoning and land use planning? So, initial thoughts on how we want to approach this. Do we wanna talk about, you know, kind of do like a zoning 101 for people? Do we just want to sort of do like a very like broad, like town hall type thing, like, hey, what are your land use concerns? Come to us and just like, you know, tell us.
I would love it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that I don't think we can do zoning in a vacuum, because again, we have to look at what's happening in our neighborhood, what are the concerns? The concerns are, one, people need affordable, an apartment that they can afford to live in.
Yes.
Right, so we have affordability issues.
Yes.
And so then, like, well, how do we solve for that? And you have the, let's just build, and if you build more supply, then the housing will go down. So I think people need to understand, one, what are the pain points? We need affordable housing. Another pain point is, I'm seeing this gigantic building going up on Nostrand Avenue or on Linden Boulevard. How did that happen?
And how can I get in
How
there?
can I stop
And
this
I
from
can't.
happening on my block? And that's where you lead into more zoning and why it happened as of right versus a rezoning and the steps that need to be taken and what can be done. But I don't think we can just have a zoning 101 and think that we're gonna get an outpouring of people to show up to learn about land use. They're not gonna cover that.
Yeah, nobody's, I don't think, I think you're right. People aren't gonna come.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I agree that a zoning 101 by itself will be attended by people who are most interested in that, and that's it. I do think we could think about the uses for what we're trying to do here and what like problems we could solve for ourselves as a board. One of them being that I don't think I don't think this conversation in this room and in community boards in general are the most representative of, you know, all of the different cross sections of the community. And so maybe we could move away from thinking about a standalone event and what would it look like to do instead towards something like, what would it look like to do a series of focus groups with different cross sections of the community to put some of these questions where we're forced to deal with some of the trade-offs when we're making a decision about whether to recommend approval or not approval for any zoning application that comes before us. What if we created some focus groups where folks were able to engage and discuss questions around that? And then we were able to like synthesize the feedback that we're getting from those focus groups and maybe use that to inform some of our decisions. So it would take a lot to set up a series of focus groups. I think we could do it. It's not, you know, impossible. It's something that I do in my work sometimes. You know, I think any efforts we could do to speak to more people that are not showing up to these meetings, that aren't represented in this space, but are, you know, stakeholders in this community just like everyone else, I think that would make our perspectives richer as a board when we're deciding what to do on any zoning application.
I think it'll also be valuable, to your point about having like a workshop might be another way to think about it, is like, to your point about having people grapple with trade-offs, and bring a diversity of perspectives could be a valuable like interactive component could be nice. I also think it would be valuable to bring in, what's up?
That just starts like the precursors to a zoning, a rezoning. Yeah.
Okay, or whatever you want to do. My point is just like getting people involved in the process so they can participate more wholly.
Yeah.
So I believe he's right. I believe you're right. Your direction you're going is correct. Because they do have workshops for like architects and engineers, like city zoning, right? And they do have that, right? The ones that mainly are in attendance for these are those that are in that field and working. The whole thing is, how do you get the general public to say, yeah, I want to get involved in that workshop? So yeah, I agree.
I think the other thing that might be valuable is thinking about bringing in DCP or another professional, some sort of professional perspective, would be, I think, valuable. So it's not just us and our perspectives driving the conversation. So I think DCP would be nice to bring in, or another group, or whoever.
I do just wanna say, I don't wanna create an environment where we're either us or people we set up to be the main folks in the room delivering information. I think, people are not gonna walk away with a strong grasp of FAR, but if we could get different kinds of people in the room and we could walk away learning more about their perspectives on these issues, I think that's what would be beneficial.
You're not looking to create subject matter experts just to have a knowledge. That's
I
basically.
think a knowledge and a scaffold of engagement, so if they continue attending these and they view it as valuable.
Agreed.
You also have to consider that the people that this is gonna affect the most, zoning changes, are property owners.
Thank you, thank you.
I wouldn't say the most.
Yeah.
But your stakeholders in it.
They're the ones that have skin in the game.
Yeah, the 20% of the
We all
district,
got
they're the
skin
ones
in
in
the
charge.
game in
But they own the land.
They own the land,
It's
they're in
not-
charge.
It's not, yes, they are. It's not right for people who rent to be able to tell you who own property what to do with it. Or how it's gonna, to build a 20-story building next to your house.
Long live the landlords, yeah.
You either own something, you don't.
I mean, it just depends on if you.
If you don't believe in property rights, then fine, then
Well,
nobody
I
wants
think
anything, and we're in chaos.
Can I just, I mean,
It's ridiculous.
there's property rights, but then what you're essentially saying is that a particular type of person, based on, things that are generally out of their control for most people, at least in New York City, if you're owning land, most of it is not like something that you did to get that land, like most of it's inherited or.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
so.
they're not the majority of people who are housed.
Right,
It's
so,
the majority of people housed are renters, like
Correct.
she just said.
correct, so.
Okay, I think we're all agreed that we need a diversity of perspectives, we need to reach out broadly, right? And so the question is, how do we do that?
And probably, as you said, a series of topics, because we
Right.
can't
So,
fight it all.
I would say, first of all, it looks like we're thinking about not just one big town hall, but maybe a number of workshops. That said, our capacity is limited, so I don't want to overextend ourselves. I don't know that I wanna commit to more than like 2 events. What do people think?
I'd say one for this, we're talking about what, the next 3 months?
Yeah.
One.
I mean, maybe the first event,
6
we were talking about the first event being in April, right? Possibly we could have a second event coinciding with the community fair in June. That's my thinking of what would be realistic for us.
One at the fair and then one.
Or if we did a series of focus groups with homeowners and with young people under 30, for example, and then we synthesize the findings from that, that would be great to display at the community fair in,
Well,
in June.
let's keep in mind our capacity
I'm
as,
happy to
as,
take the lead
as,
on making
as,
this happen.
as volunteer community board members, right? And let's keep in mind also that that is the purpose of our monthly meetings, is for the community to be able to come and speak. That said, as community members, it is all of your responsibility in between meetings to reach out to your communities. Cheryl, you had mentioned previously block associations, right? Does the office have contacts with them? And so this is how we reach out to people and how we get people to come, right?
It's also a
we've-
way that we create an environment where it's the same folks showing up
Right.
with the same
Exactly.
perspectives all the time.
Yep.
Certain perspectives overrepresented that, quite frankly, probably aren't even majority in the community, but is majority in the room. And so, yeah, I do think we have to make a different effort to bring in folks who would never show up to a meeting like this. People do it all the time. You set up a focus group, you compensate people $50 for spending an hour and a half with you, and they do it.
We're
You
not
know?
paying people, we don't have money.
We're not paying people to
Yeah.
voice their
This is a standard practice
Right,
that's
but
done
that's
in
not
this
the-
kind of participatory research. It's not.
I don't think we can do that as a
Yeah,
community.
we can't do, we don't have the capacity to do that as a community board.
I think we could. It's a Dante conversation, but sure.
I'm also sure people would share their opinions for free. I'm pretty
Yeah, I
sure.
don't think you
I know, I think the purpose, I think if
We've
people have to,
thrown
people have to
multiple
be.
events and we've seen how they're attended.
Josh,
So I
if people have to be,
understand.
if people have to be compensated to give their opinions, that is really not the purpose of what we're doing.
I think to Josh's point though, we want to find ways to encourage participation and make it easier.
We're sitting on a high horse
That's
right
been
now
$800
because we show up
at
to
that
the
last
meetings.
meeting at the school on
Josh,
some damn
Josh,
crackers. But
Josh.
anytime you're
Yeah, I
offered to give
agree.
money to community members, it's an inconvenience. There was a court case just today, they gave them $25 for car fare and for
People
lunch.
do, it's a
For
thing
somebody
that,
who did
that's how
24
you.
years wrongfully, and this is an independent org. What he's saying is true. I'm not
There's a
saying
lot
you
of
have to
people
do it,
who.
but you have to evaluate. It is the same people in this room.
Okay, guys.
Don't just
All of
knock it
you-
down.
Guys, all of you, as board members, have the ability and the responsibility to invite people to come here. Also to speak to people in your community about their opinion about something that's happening. I do that all the time. If something is happening near me, I ask people, my neighbors, what they think.
Where are you
I
people,
happen to
Suki?
live,
Where are
I
they?
happen to live on a block that's mixed, that's pretty diverse. We have apartment buildings, we have homeowners, we have old people, young people, families, long-term residents, newer residents, right? So, not everybody lives on a block that's mixed, but that's okay. Some of you have very particular communities that you're representing, and that's why you're on the board. But it's always everyone's responsibility to bring in community members. And if you feel that there is a perspective that is not being represented, and I
It's
often,
on you to fill
and
the
I
room for
often
that, and it's
do.
not
It
the
is
board's
on you.
responsibility to ensure
on
that
you.
we're bringing in perspectives and representing the
So
full
who's
community.
responsible?
That's
That's
Is
said.
that
They
what you're
supposed to-
saying,
that
Suki?
said,
But how are they supposed to
that
come?
said, Josh, that
Who's
said,
supposed to
Josh,
reach out to them?
that said, Josh.
How do you do the
And
reach
what I'm
out?
proposing is a way for us to do that. That's
But I'm
all
not-
I'm doing.
But how? How does that work?
Through setting up some focus groups.
How do you set up
Setting-
a focus, or how do you
I
notify
would
people about
happily
it?
put together a work
How do you
plan.
notify people?
We could
and
make
do
it
the
on
outreach to
Facebook
get them to
pages.
come?
There's
go out in
many
the
where you
community,
could talk to
you recruit,
community groups
and
that
they'll
are
be more likely
located
to
here.
come. That's
You
why
could
he thinks
flyer
he's
in those communities. It's a focus group. You only need a handful of people.
I know, but
Look, I don't
but
wanna-
you could use that same energy to get people to come the
Come to
actual
the
meeting.
board meeting.
But they don't.
But they
So
don't.
where are y'all
That's
people?
all.
And
But
where-
are you asking these people that you feel are not represented to come to the board meetings?
I don't believe that that's a realistic ask to make of people, Suki. I don't. I just don't.
Then why is it a realistic
I'm-
ask to have them participate?
Come to a focus
For their
Because
perspective,
we
for their
would-
insight, for this specific occasion. It's not just a general board meeting.
It's-
Y'all don't even allow us to speak.
Come
I'm one
for
of
an
them.
hour and a half.
I
We're
have
gonna
to wait-
facilitate
spend my
the
time to come
conversation, answer some questions, we'll record it, transcribe, whatever, pull out the highlights, and we'll do this with different groups of people.
But
I
that's
understand
exactly
folks
what
are.
we're doing here, Josh.
No, but this is
exactly
a-
what we're
This
doing.
is
Please
But
go
they're
ahead.
saying
This
about
is a
having a
committee
town
meeting
hall and
once a
other
month,
events. I'm
And
fine
I
with
have
that.
to make time to come here. I'm not on the board. I've been here 2 nights in a row. I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying, imagine the person who does not have the capacity to do that.
The people
It's
with
an
kids,
incentive. I'm not saying
working.
this, I'm not defending this to say, let's do this definitively, but it's an
So,
option to consider.
Let's talk about when we're gonna hold this meeting, because I think that that is a concern, right? What about people who can't come in the evenings? Should we hold this event on a weekend, in the middle of the day?
On a Sunday?
I would propose if you're gonna spend money on anything, you spend it on childcare.
Yeah,
That,
childcare.
like,
Or
just-
transportation.
Yeah, I mean, just based on the things that, and this happens in organizations all the time, that we can't figure out when is the most convenient because of when people work, but like, when you bring childcare into it, it opens up a broad group of people that don't ever get to come to meetings, if you'll just provide like somebody on the side that will take care of the kids, even
Right,
when in the
it's a
same
separate
room, like,
room.
that will just like,
That will have
do some
drawing
games or whatever,
paper
like,
and-
it's worth doing, I'm just telling you
I'm
from
gonna,
experience.
I'm in favor of that. I've proposed this before when it comes to our like neighborhood association meetings, and the answer I got was no, because we will have liability. So I'm gonna put this question to the office, but
I think they can sign, there's like consent forms that you could
A
sign.
waiver.
Yeah, waiver.
But I
Yeah,
wouldn't
waiver.
focus on childcare if y'all don't have enough money for that or whatever. It's you could get anybody. There's parents who can make it.
Yeah.
It's literally a participation incentive. That's all it is.
well, so this is why I asked, do we wanna do something on a weekend during the day?
It's not that difficult.
Yes, no? I'm not particularly in favor of weekends, but I wanna hear from the rest of you.
I personally think on Zoom, and I'm not one to speak a lot, but when I speak, I've given it a lot of thought. You wanna get people, you can't always get them in one room. You get them on Zoom, you use technology, you do robocalls, the flyers and all that, we've been doing that for years. This is the 21st century. I get robocalls every day, and they provide information. So either you do blasts with,
Text.
not email, what do you
Text.
call it? I don't even make a TikTok thing or whatever. Because this is 21st century, so we're still using like old stuff for new events, and it's not quite working.
Right.
Flyer is nice, it wastes a lot of paper, but I think that a Zoom meeting for starts, I like the idea of a focus groups, because you've got so many different people in the community. And you're not gonna get them all in one room on any particular day, and yet weekends is not good for me, personally speaking, and a lot of other people who work, they look forward to their weekends to enjoy them. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it could be on a Zoom, so that you capture an audience and you evaluate that, you capture another audience, evaluate that. Cause all of those people sitting in this room, I don't know.
You create smaller conversations where people have more space to share their thoughts fully,
Right.
right? And in maybe a more comfortable small group setting. And we do a few of those, and eventually you have a body of qualitative info that we could use to inform some of these things. I just want to throw this out there too, because I do recognize like bandwidth constraints and how this is definitely something different than doing like a community event that we traditionally do. I'm happy to like put together a work plan or some kind of write-up for like if we were to do something like this, what it would take, what could be some roles and responsibilities for us for consideration, and we could talk about it, after folks have had a chance to look at something like that. But I don't wanna dismiss outright the idea that we have to do more to make sure that we're not just pitching to the same, like everything is happening with the same folks or folks with the same interests when this is like a big diverse community. And there's a lot of people that just don't even have a chance to engage with city government on any level.
I mean, I guess what I'm concerned about, Josh, is I'm hearing that you're saying that there's people who we are not engaging, but like, how will you reach those people if you're not reaching them and bringing them here now? Or if, like, even if they can't come to the meetings, right? Like Cheryl said, my cousin cannot come to these meetings because she's exhausted, but this is what she says, right? Like, if you're not currently bringing those perspectives at least a little bit, how are you gonna reach these folks that you say are not being represented? Because I know I've had this discussion with you before, like at one time we were talking about NYCHA and I said, hey, actually our district has NYCHA and we don't have good outreach to them because it's like way over on the other side of the district. That a lot of people in this district like have no clue even what the eastern boundary is, right? And like, can you reach out to the folks living in NYCHA? So like those kinds of specific things, like if you're not doing that now, like I'm concerned about how you're gonna reach people for a focus group is what I'm thinking.
I can give you an example, and then I don't want to take up the whole time on this, but for example, reaching folks that live in like NYCHA or in Ebbetsfield, maybe there's a community center there that people from that development frequent, right?
And we do have outreach
And
to
we
Evansfield, plenty.
we work with those folks to recruit their residents, and part of recruitment is incentivizing folks to share their insights, to have a conversation that they typically wouldn't have. And so that's
We have outreach to Evansfield.
But what you're not
I can guarantee you
understanding,
that.
as
But
he
our
said
housing
separately,
sharing
and as
needs
also
to
other
be
people said separately, this is a specific occasion, so this
It's
is
just
not
we're
a
asking an hour
general
and a
board
half.
meeting or a committee meeting. This is to engage them specifically for whatever the focus group is. For example, me, I have specific needs and directives and demands in regards to homelessness. I have specific records, documentation, government official. I know who does what document for what. I can give that insight, and then I could communicate with the community board.
Sure.
Are y'all working to change this? If not, here is my voice on what I'm asking you to work on to change, whether it's today or tomorrow. And then you can send me an email when that occasion happens. Last example, yesterday DCP came. They weren't really asking for a conversation for the community. They were giving a presentation. So in the event, like you said, to have a professional perspective, I could invite somebody back who has the AMI or the affordable housing so they can have a better understanding of how that zoning impacts them. But to expect people to come once a month, every month, and it's not directly specific to them is what is the unreasonable ask. Not specific pertaining to a workshop or something that directly involves them that you're requesting for them to contribute to. That's the difference. If we go to Ebbetsville and we say, let's say me and this gentleman, I'm willing to do that. I'm literally saying this as a real example. We go there 3 times a week and we're specifically saying, is anybody here, NYCHA, that can come on this date? I'm not asking you to come once a month, every month. They're gonna be like, if I can make it, I can make it. I don't know yet. Of course, that's what people's gonna say. But if I could specifically say, hey, this is what I need on this day, I'll even give you a $20. I'm asking for your specific contribution with your experience with NYCHA, and then you could have feedback on what you think we can do to assist you, and vice versa. How can you assist the community board on working these issues? That's more productive than I'm saying we meet generally every month and they're not even allowed to speak.
I would also gently suggest that these are not the best meetings for people who are not knowledgeable about this subject to attend, both in terms of the manner in which they are. This is not a slight at anyone here, but the community board structure is not good if you don't have a background in this. And I think these meetings sometimes get a. Let me just finish making my point, Suki, please. Is sometimes these meetings are a little bit tense and unpleasant. I think would be a nice way to put it. And I think if you don't go to these, if you're not bought into this, you probably don't want to keep going to these meetings.
Yeah,
For example,
we're not kind.
at my
We're
first
not
meeting,
welcome.
someone brought a whistle. That wasn't very fun.
I got called
the last,
racial slurs at that meeting.
yeah.
Walked in the door.
The other point I would make just quickly is that there are several people here, myself included, who have worked on, managed, run for office in the past to varying degrees of success, and that is similarly a large amount of community outreach of these political campaigns. I'd be happy to leverage my experience there to help, think of ways we creatively outreach to a greater number of people. I'm just saying, I think there's a lot of merit to what Josh is suggesting to increase the aperture of who's coming to these meetings.
But as far as experience required, that's false. I don't have experience in these things. None of
Yeah.
y'all do. Like y'all keep saying y'all volunteer. The chair of the housing literally says this is her first time doing this. She's learning. Community boards are learning, informative, recommendation and advisory. You don't need an expertise. Even me, that's how I had to walk out of the last time I was here 3 months ago meeting because Sugi wouldn't stop damn talking. I couldn't understand. I'm here to understand, not here to be spoken to. We cannot treat our community like children that they're spoken to. It's an involvement.
So
And to my understanding, this was a focus group to get their input, not to speak to them and just educate.
I agree with you, just be clear, I'm saying that's that most people,
So-
I want more people like you at these meetings.
So what we discussed at our, what we discussed at our meeting when you weren't here was we wanted to do a zoning workshop. And part of that, right, like Nicholas said, the first part of that may be a kind of town hall structure where we talk about, where we ask people what their concerns are. The second part of that is going to be a zoning workshop where hopefully it's interactive. And part of it is for people to learn about zoning and about land use.
Well, there's a
I mean-
different thing here, right? Look, talking and listening.
Well, that's
Are
what
we-
we said, the first part would be more listening, and then the second part is more education in
Right.
support of the
It's
concerns
interactive,
that we heard in the
it's
first
both.
part, and back and forth, right?
Right. So, let's first of all just think about some practical things, dates, right? We're thinking the first one is maybe gonna be in April. I mean, I think
The
we,
fair is always in late May, early June.
right, and then the second one would be in June. Does everybody think that works?
I know May is like.
I just wanna say that in my opinion, I don't think a lot of people are gonna show up unless there's a crisis. You know, so unless we have a zoning crisis or something, just people are busy and, you know, there's not gonna show up for some meeting. So, I mean, I think that maybe a better way to go is maybe create like, let's say an educational animated video, and then after that, you know, with all the rules of all the zoning, you know, including yes and all the charter revisions, and I have a questionnaire at the end, fill out their opinion based on what they've learned. And if you can send that out to, you know, many people, and you get responses, and I think it gives you an interactive approach where people don't have to actually show up somewhere.
An animated video.
And they can do it on their own time.
You can put
Do you have
it
an, you have an
in
animated
video.
video?
You can use AI nowadays.
Oh.
So I think
That's
these
cool.
are all,
video
so I
too.
think these are all really good ideas. I also like Janice's
not that far
idea of
reach.
doing something
Excited.
on Zoom, because I think people really have gotten into the mode nowadays where like, oh, it's not on Zoom, it's not convenient for me, right? That being said, we've had a lot of concerns in the past about the way surveys were conducted online and so on, that we don't really know who's showing up and who's answering. We don't know if they live in our community or not. Not that people from other communities and community boards are not welcome, because these are public meetings. But we definitely wanna make sure to get the perspective of the residents who live in the committee. Because particularly with land use issues, you know, we don't like for things to pop up. Every part of the community is different, and we don't like for things to pop up where we didn't do the engagement, and then somebody says, you didn't talk to me, and it's next to my house, right? So,
Anybody can show up at these meetings too, not necessarily people for residents. You know.
right.
So.
Right, so, you know, we're happy to have, you know, talk to people from other communities, but, you know, I think we wanna make sure that we're reaching people in the community, and so
Well, the danger with
I
Zoom
don't wanna
is-
do something that's only online, and then we say like, this represents the opinion, and we don't really know who's
We
showing up.
have to do one of
who's-
each, right?
Yeah, but
It's a good
I guess
idea
it
to
depends
Zoom
on what,
and-
if this is more educational and not like, oh, we're soliciting information and we're gonna take this and this is the, you know, we've heard from our community, I don't think a Zoom meeting will do that. If it's about educating and making sure that we're hearing from the community about what some of their concerns are, and also giving information about updates, what they can do, how we empower. My whole thing has always been about empowering the community. What can we do to make sure that they understand their rights and they understand how they can make a difference? Zoom calls help to a certain extent, but they're real, and I'm one that's all about the convenience of the Zoom.
Yeah,
But there is really no replacing the interaction that comes from face-to-face meetings. So if we wanna mix it up, because there are gonna be those people that will hop on a Zoom, but won't walk across the street.
yeah, so
To
maybe
come to
one
meet in
Zoom
person.
and one in
Right.
person.
Cause I have neighbors that will not come on a Zoom call for our block association, but they'll go to the church. So, you know, you have people that just can't deal with technology, but we're dealing with different people, so the older populations will tend to come in person. The younger populations may come online quicker.
So I'm gonna suggest that, I do like the idea of doing a video, so I'm gonna suggest that we do try to create a video, and that can be sent out, it doesn't matter if we send it out to other people in the city as well, right? Like, that can be sent out to whoever,
A video.
right? And,
An
What's that?
animated
Video?
video, Benny's gonna make it, help us make it.
are you gonna do
We
that?
compact
I
everything
mean,
in.
if I have all the rules in front of me,
Well, you're not gonna put all the rules in a video, this is gonna be like what zoning 101.
I'm saying, the
Have city planning do it.
animation will have to be based on.
Have city planning do it.
We could maybe make a funnier
Have city
one.
planning do it.
Okay,
Let
so,
them do a
Wanna
video.
watch.
so we'll have a video that we send out as a teaser, right? Or just to educate people who might not wanna come at all, right? And then we'll have one Zoom session and one in-person session.
Why can't it be both? If you have an in-person, you also have a Zoom component.
Also like a hybrid
A
session?
hybrid, you also
That's
have a
fine.
call,
Yeah,
you have some
okay.
seniors may not wanna
Okay.
come out the house, they may
Okay.
not know Zoom, they can
Okay.
at least call on the phone, Zoom has the capacity,
Okay,
you
so
know.
let's do that, so we'll do 2 hybrid sessions. And I'm gonna suggest that we do them in
2
different parts of
hybrid
the
sessions.
district, because I think that's, like, our district's very big, and there's not subways everywhere, and I think that's a big part of what makes it difficult for people to be aware of what's going on in some parts of the district and to participate. So I'm gonna suggest like one towards the center or western half and one towards the eastern half of the district. Does that sound
So
good
you
to
mean,
people?
you mean more like towards Eastern Parkway one, and another one deeper, like toward, where the hospital is, East Flatbush, where
Well, we're gonna
Cheryl
have to
and Rod
talk
live.
to,
It would be great to have something there.
we have to talk to the office about what venues are potentially available, and we also need to think about what size venues. My feeling is we're not gonna get a gigantic turnout at first. I don't think we need like a 200-person auditorium. Oh, and the other reason to maybe have stuff in person as well is if you want an interactive workshop, you know, a lot of the times there's like blocks and like maps and, you know, it's more difficult to do it on Zoom. So, yeah, I don't think we necessarily need a huge venue. I'm thinking maybe like something that can hold 60 people, and then our Zoom will be able to hold however many people come on. Is about right. Does that?
So why don't y'all, or I don't know, can y'all consider having an organization, whether it's housing or deals with, you know, vulnerable population, to host one of the workshops that you're still doing hybrid, so where their population and membership could automatically be in attendance? Why haven't y'all, like, do y'all have those type of relationships? I'm not accusing y'all
We
now,
do,
I'm
we
just
have
asking.
a lot of, we do, we've historically actually held our meetings at Crown Gardens. It just depends who has a space available for us. We typically hold them at schools, frankly, because that's who has space available for us, and my guess is that's most likely what we'll get, you know, like it's a little embarrassing when you have a huge school auditorium and not enough people show up. But, you know, I'm guessing that's what we're gonna get because those are the relationships that we have.
I think we'll have to, if we're gonna do a hybrid,
Yeah.
we have to take that into
The
consideration.
technology, yeah.
Right, because
Yeah.
that technology was a
Yeah.
hindrance at our last.
Yeah, so we
hybrid.
also sometimes hold meetings at Medgar Evers, cause they have a very good AV setup. The Brooklyn Botanic Gardens has one, I think we're probably gonna hold a meeting there.
Well, yeah, we were supposed to this month, but it got changed.
Yeah,
Downstate.
downstate, on the eastern end, downstate, it gets used a lot by the community.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
We're not meeting in.
Y'all don't have a nonprofit or y'all can do it at their own
That has a
location.
membership base that
Correct,
you can
exactly.
then be like, let's both promote this upcoming event.
Well, I think, let's look at what topics we want to focus on, and then that would help steer what organizations we may reach out to.
We're housing.
I think we should reach, I think that we should
But
reach
there are
out to
different types of
whoever,
housing.
I think that we should reach out to whoever we can.
Organizations, that's what you call it, recreation, I'm talking about more specific to the housing organization, whether it's the
Okay,
porches or
so we I don't know if it makes sense to do this now, but offline, let's definitely generate a list of organizations, like at least for the first part, the town hall, right? Do we have to come up with a list of topics? I mean, we're basically asking people, what are your concerns about land use, right?
I do think we have to, we've gotta guide this somehow, we've gotta like
Oh, yeah, I didn't figure that out yet.
get
Land use,
people,
what does that mean?
yeah.
Yeah,
We've
I
gotta
figure
like
that
figure out what an agenda is that not only like gets people discussing the things we want, but also like is focused enough on info that will be useful for us, so. We could do more, we don't have to like hash that out in this setting, we can maybe
So
make
can
that.
y'all do a Google Doc questionnaire to sort this and have people put in different concerns? Do y'all have a base to where y'all could distribute that to and request the community to fill it out? A questionnaire, not saying you're forming their thoughts for any lawsuit, I'm just saying they're saying it themselves to be in
I mean,
preparation.
definitely the comments that we've had over the years to the land use committee, I mean, there's a pretty clear, like, pattern, right? I mean, like, if I were to put out a notice, for example, to my community for a meeting, it would say, like, are you interested in, like, do you have concerns about new development on your block? Are you concerned about gentrification? Are you concerned about, whatever, like, did you hear about this new building? And that's how I would get people to come.
Do y'all have slumlords? Cause this is a big impact in this community, the one that went bankrupt, 7399.
Yeah, I just talked about it.
So the other possibility is housing is also planning a town hall meeting, kind of along similar lines, like an open house, to ask people what their concerns are about housing. Do we want to maybe make it a joint town hall, at least for the first part, and then we'll go off and we'll do our zoning 101?
So that's housing, zoning.
Because we don't need them trying to talk about zoning in their housing meeting.
But that's why you'll be there, cause you're the zoning.
Because that, based on what I saw yesterday, that's their solution.
I mean, I
More
think,
housing.
what concerns me is that there's a huge, like, body of housing issues that are gonna, like, get short shrift, right, if everything is combined.
Yeah.
And there are other land use issues besides housing as well. But, like Joshua said, for people to kind of be aware of what that means requires a certain level of knowledge generally, right? And or that you're in a very specific part of the community, right? Like if you live right next to one of the commercial areas, you may have, and there are two actually, there's a manufacturing area in the southeast corner, there's and there's Empire Boulevard and a couple of other C8 areas, right? So if you live like right next to one of those areas, you might have specific land use concerns related to commercial. But in general, I would say, like, I mean, I almost feel like this is something where, like, you're at a community event, and it could be like you're with, meeting with an organization that does whatever they do, or we're at a block party or something like that, and we just have a little table set up where it's like, hey, what are your land use concerns? And anybody can come up to you. And my experience is the majority of people don't think about it and they don't particularly have concerns, and that's fine because maybe it doesn't impact them, right? But then a couple of people will come to you and say, oh my God, what about this, right? And
saying, what are your land use concerns is different than asking someone who's just a random person in the community. Given the community changes over 10 years, what do you think is important that should still be here? What would you like to see in changes in the community over the next 10 years? And so you're not exactly like saying, what's the land use question or concern you have, which is our lingo and language, but like asking people questions that
what do you want your community to look like?
Right, in 10 years.
I think that's actually a really good way of putting it. Like,
and by the way, these are the way I want to frame the focus group questions too.
Land use concerns. I never heard that.
I think that's actually a really good way of putting it. Like, what is the, maybe we pitch the town hall as, what do you want your neighborhood to look like, right? Envisioning your neighborhood, something like that.
CV9 in 10
Let's take-
years, what
yeah,
do we?
yeah, let's take baby steps and focus on where we are now versus visioning
I'll be
for 10
spitting out
years,
fire
because that's the
ideas
plan.
here. Y'all just be cutting me off and rejecting them, but it's okay.
I like that one, Josh.
I get,
Your-
but what
your
about the
list
other
is
ones?
I like all your
rejected.
ideas,
It's not
Thank
rejected.
you.
It's not
Thank
rejected.
you.
Okay, all
I
right.
like random people showing up for $20.
I was thinking 50. I was thinking 50 with a meal,
Them
but
y'all was
$50
wrong.
every day? Yeah, that would be super fun.
Yeah.
And babysitting.
As long as they pay me $50 to.
I know, like,
Right.
we come here every month and none of us are
Right.
there.
I
know we do.
We've got 2 months to get this
Okay, all right,
executed.
so we don't have a lot of time to get this done, it's 9:00, so, let's continue this discussion, via email. I think we sort of have the basics hashed out, and now I wanna do something that, now this thing is going away. I wanna
Let's just have a party, like economic development, like at some club or
It's
something.
9:00, we're done.
Suki, can I ask you, Suki, new business? New business, before you ask?
yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention, I handed out a packet to different people in the room.
Yes.
My question is, this relates to Vital Brooklyn, I just found this out, I wanted to inform the ULURP committee, and I wanted to ask for assistance on the following question. Originally, Vital Brooklyn Kingsborough Psych was supposed to be $30 million. Okay, that's what the original purchase price is. So if you look in your packet, the first few pages is the proposal. It says, for 681 Clarkson, the developer will pay $30 million. This was around,
Wait, where is that?
this is like the first few pages. You'll see fair market value, it's on like, it says page 161
Right
on the
there,
bottom.
right there, Travis, right there.
You have it.
There you go.
Okay, shelter too?
Can I have one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I got it.
So, yeah, actually, I handed out, I'm like, okay.
Is this one?
I got the this. Actually,
Have one.
Thank you.
okay, so what it shows is, it shows. So Suki, do you agree I'm on the committee now? Okay, good. Anyhow. Suki, you still with me, or?
Yes.
Okay, so my question, is, and this relates to Vital Brooklyn, is that it was originally supposed to be $30 million. $30 million. That was the original proposal. Brian Cunningham, your assemblyman, and Myrie both produced a bill in 2021. I provide you guys with the assembly bill in 2021 of just Cunningham. You could do the research on Myrie's bill, but what the bill says, if you look at the highlights on one of them, it says that Kingsborough Psych can be sold below fair market value at whatever price, basically, the Office of Mental Health and the Division of Housing Community Renewal agree upon. So this $30 million property can sell for anywhere from $10 up to $30 million. And when you go online where it says the price, it goes, and provide other benefits to the public, I invite you guys to look online with Google and artificial intelligence. What does it mean, provide other benefits to the public? When you have that, it many times means nominal value, which is zero. The Vital Brooklyn on Clarkson Estates, which is at approximately 329 Clarkson Avenue, that went for $0. The parking on the downstate was given to Canva for $0.
And this
The
bill
par-
was passed?
This was passed, governor passed it, everybody
I
passed
mean,
it.
it should say something like provided that it is used to provide public benefits commensurate with the.
We need, right.
But what else?
We need to know, and I asked the committee to do this, ask Brian Cunningham or Senator Myrie, what is the purchase price that this is going to be? Because the parking lot at Kingsbrook Jewish that they sold, the deed says $10. The original purchase price was $26 million. Actually, the fair market value is $26 million. In the proposal, this is Kingsbrook Jewish, this is a different one. The proposal said they're gonna pay $11 million. When I looked at the deed said $10 on the deed. So what that means is they hide the value. I asked what the closing statement is, they don't know. So basically, in terms of what the developers are paying, the community should know what money is being paid by the developers, because it should be in return for community benefits. If this thing went from $30 million down to $10, or even down to $15 million, the community should say, we just gave you a $15 million discount. What community benefits are we getting in return, so that we can give it to like whatever housing, you know, whatever people in the neighborhood could use it to fix up whatever housing. So this is an example where I just found this out last week, and I don't think people know it, but it's no longer, the proposal says 30 million. Then they pass a bill saying it could be anywhere from below fair market value. We should ask them, what is the price that the developer is paying?
I think that's a pretty.
For the benefit of the recording, can you just say the bill number and the year it was passed?
Sure, let me look it up. I'll say my name, by the way. My name is Jay Soren, for the record.
Bill number?
The bill number, I'm gonna look.
A,
Bill?
that one?
Yeah, so the bill number is, you can look it up online, it's A10520. Now, and just for the record, I'm not saying that this went for $10, but what I'm saying is that previously it was $30 million as the fair market value. A special bill was put in saying that now this will be less than fair market value, and the wordage in here, when they talk about public benefits, when you look it up online, many times it says nominal value. Nominal value is when they're allowed to put just $10 on the deed, you never know how much it is.
Can you also say the year it was passed, because the bill numbers change each session?
Okay, thanks, that's a great point. I think it's, somebody sees it, it was 2000.
2022? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's, it was originally in June 1st, 2022 in the Assembly. And you could see a similar bill, which will be from Senator Myron. So the community just should know, what is that amount that is truly. I asked for the closing statement, I'm still waiting for it for 2 months. The closing statement on the parking lot will say it. This one, Kingsborough site has not closed. They got the funding, it has not closed. And the reason that it hasn't closed and that you don't see title on Acris when I check it is because this community is entitled to a city council public hearing, but they don't want you to know about it.
So then how can they be demolished? How can they have gone demolished?
They could demolish it. What
No,
happens?
no, Jay,
You-
who, only
you want me
the
to answer?
owner, yeah, only the owner can pull permits.
Actually, I think as far as the permits go, it may be that the developer, I'm not sure if the developer can do it or somebody else.
The GC.
Yeah, somebody.
The GC can do it on behalf of the developer.
The owner's name has to be on the permits, that's been a rule since
Maybe no,
like-
they may agree to it, but in terms of, it may be somebody else who does it. I'm not
So
sure.
whose name is on the permits?
I'm not sure of the technicality, but my understanding is that even before title is passed, there's a way where they could demolish. Perfect example, Kingsbrook Estates, they're gonna demolish it, but they can't move title. So Kingsbrook Estates, the shul is suing them, there's a list pendants, they can't move title, but they're ready to demolish the northern buildings of that.
No, the reason I say
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
sure.
because, maybe about, like, this was several years ago, a law was passed
Right.
that requires the owner's name to be on, DOB permits.
Right.
For transparency reasons, because a lot of developers were using LLCs and everything
That's
like
fine,
that.
the owner's name could be on the permit, but they didn't transfer the title, it could be that the owner
Okay.
signed off on it, but
So
somebody else
whose
is
name
involved.
is on the permit?
On the
What's that?
permit,
So
it's
whose
Kieran
name is on-
Slavin. This is the building permit, that's for Kingsborough.
And whose name is on
This
it?
is the work permit Department of Buildings. This is a start number of 2760, and it was issued to Kieran Slavin.
Can you spell it?
Kieran Slevin.
Somewhere on that that permit application should be the owner, the property owner's name.
I have
Well,
pictures of
it's
everything.
Dasney owns it now.
Right, so
Dasney.
Okay.
so the owner, whoever does the filing, right, the owner name has to be on the filing,
Yes.
right? But on the permits,
Yes.
whoever's
Is the
doing the work
contract.
for you, the
Right.
GC, the
Right,
contract's
so
gonna pull the
whose name
permit.
is on the, I guess whose name is on the filing?
Yeah, that'd be at the file from DOB now.
And the seller could knock it down. If they wanna knock it down, there's no problems in knocking it down, I'm talking about
Yes, they
conveying it.
They can,
You
but
know.
just check and make sure
Yeah,
that
but,
it's
and
the
I hope that people here,
owner who's
there's a
on
lot of people here who are very passionate on different issues and have strong voices. I hope that they go to Rita Joseph and say this is an important issue, that a community should have a voice and that people aren't as passionate about that. You know, it's great that we're doing educational things on future things that could happen, but there's a fire going on in East Flatbush. People should, you know, people should be.
touch that community
Yes.
board, you
Jay,
can't be
if
careful
we
there.
hold, you know, a meeting on the eastern end of the district, maybe people will come out and we'll ask them what their concerns
We don't-
are,
it's
and
not-
they can say
The
whatever.
problem is the city council
enough.
person. For the past year, I've been telling Rita Joseph, what's the law on this? What's the rule? Go to the city law department and give me an answer. And everybody is not saying anything. I sent this to the city council oversight committee. Okay, Gail Brewers has this since November 2nd. They're doing nothing. And the whole process is something where there's no voice for the community, because this was supposed to be New York State Empire State Development. And I only recently found out that that's baloney. You know who appoints the people from New York State Empire State Development? The governor. The governor appoints 7 out of 9 people on New York State Empire State Development. So when people say, oh, it's a bunch of cronies, we can't do anything. Baloney. The governor has control over New York State Empire State Development. The last stage in this, the PACB, the Public Authority Control Board,
The governor also.
5 of them, yeah, you probably know this, 5 of them are appointed by the governor, 3 of them are the ones who make the decisions. The 3 people who make the decisions, well, actually, 1 of them is chosen by the governor, that's the chairman. But the way the PACP board goes is that you need a complete, it has to be, everybody has to agree to it. You need 3 out of 3. They could have blocked this project. If we would have called up the governor and said, you appointed the chair, we want revisions to it. People do not know the process. But Rita Joseph is doing absolutely nothing. Cunningham is doing nothing. He's gonna be the lieutenant governor, okay? And the governor has so much power. The community should know what the governor controls. She controls the entire New York State Empire State Development thing, and she controls the PACP board. And in Creedmoor, in another neighborhood in Belrose, Queens, she made major revisions because they opened up their mouth. And here, nothing.
Yep.
And everybody should be passionate. The community should have a voice, because there's no elected officials who you can go to who make a decision. That's what everybody thought, but it's wrong. The governor controls everything, and this project is not over yet. It's gonna go to the city council, and with member deference, Rita controls everything. So I hope that, and there's gonna be a big problem in the neighborhood, because when we get daylighting, that city council thing that comes up, there's gonna be a massive amount of parking spots all over the city that we lose in daylighting, okay? It passed last year. The mayor vetoed it. So when it comes up in the first 3 months, there's a 300 spot shortage on Vital Brooklyn. When the daylight hits in 3 months, it's gonna be hell, okay? They should, and I'll tell you, they should do, Suki, they should do a supplemental EIS. They should do a supplemental EIS, because when you combine the daylighting with 300 spots efficiency, okay, it should go back to that. But there's a lot of things the community don't know, and I hope people speak out for the benefit of East Flatbush.
Is
Because
community board 14?
What's that?
Community board 14?
Half is 17 and half is 9, East Flatbush. It's happening on Clarkson, so the 2 community boards that are affected are 9 and 17.
There's also just the reality that this is a banner initiative for the governor, and so perhaps the pushback and the lack of sort of, I don't know, action in what you're asking for has to do with the fact that she supports this, they support this. This is a project that they would point to as like a model for developing supportive housing.
Right.
Truly affordable housing.
And they're treating the black community completely different than they are in Belrose, Queens.
Yeah.
50% homeless in East Flatbush, Belrose, Queens, 10%. The parking issue, if you're taking a community that's not near a subway, and there's gonna be a 300 parking spot deficiency, people are gonna fight with each other.
I mean, I will say, I don't know if we're still on the record, but it doesn't matter. There was a community visioning process for Vital Brooklyn, a pretty extended one back in 2015, 2016.
That were on Saturdays and the Jews were excluded.
Well, that was part of it, right? So this is why we do need to be careful about community engagement and, including people who actually live around the site. The second thing is, what was envisioned then, I think is different than, and
Very
what
right.
was
300. 300.
Is
It was 300.
different than
They went from
what
300
has
to
come up
1080.
now.
And it was
300 to 1080.
So, yeah, so I think there was, like, Creedmoor had a visioning process too.